you end up in a storyline with Triple H and with Evolution, which actually was there was an Easter egg almost to that in that Rock promo where you say that he's your favourite wrestler. How did the idea come about that you were going to work with Triple H, and what did you find, what was he like to work with?
So once anybody starts to get over, once Eugene started to get over, then everybody wanted to work with him. And it got so over, and Triple H was the one to want to work with him. I thought it was great. And like when I used to wrestle against Rip Rogers in Ohio Valley Wrestling, he would lead the match and puppet the people. And Triple H worked the exact same way. And, you know, it was very easy to work with. And he protected me and shined me in the right spots. And I thought he was easy to work with, you know.
Because he had a bit of a reputation online at that point that he, you know, wasn't working with guys and putting them over. And he kind of had this reputation online. Was any of that real in the situation when you were there?
Eugene pinned him in the middle of the ring on Raw. I mean, you know, I don't know. I didn't see. I mean, I know what you mean. Like, there's times where people have tried to decipher the angle and the finish and if it was right and if it was wrong. But I think they might have had to do something particular because they knew where they were going. For the most part, I feel like WWE has always done what's best for business. And they've got the long thought of where they're going to end up.
I mean, were you able to get any advice from Triple H? Because, I mean, he's a pretty good guy to work with in terms of, you know, he's basically in the creative team by that point. He's got Vince's ear. So it's not a bad spot to be in that you get to work with him.
But yeah, a lot of it was like what we were doing in the backstage promos or how to act and how to be funny. They kept wanting to try to do funny things with Eugene. Ric Flair wanted to get Eugene laid. Be in the bed with like the girls. And then I wanted to do like on the Wayne's World where Garth puts in the pipe in his mouth and then starts blowing the bubbles. I think it'd be good for Eugene, but it didn't happen. You know, I mean, Triple H knew exactly what he was doing and leading Eugene and building me. I mean, to eventually beat me, which I think he should have. I mean, Eugene was in the SummerSlam main event with Triple H, but.
And, you know, you mentioned Regal. You and Regal end up winning the tag titles together. And it was funny because when Regal and you did that act, he'd been a heel for a few years, but it just worked. Why do you think that Eugene and Regal worked so well?
It was magic between us from the beginning. And I don't know that I've ever had that with anybody else. But I think you know, the newness and novelty of Eugene paired with Regal. And I think this was the first time that he really peeled that onion of a character and became, you know, compassionate about someone else. He's always the naughty heel that was going to break the rules. But then we see him, you know, start to, you know, and then get mad when somebody happened. People really bought into that. It was emotional. We made a connection. And he's so phenomenal. I don't know why he's not in movies more. I mean,
and when you guys won the tag titles, did you think that as Eugene you were going to win a title? Did that mean a lot to you? You know, after not being called up for so long, that now you're winning a tag title.
Eugene's still waiting on winning the world title. No, I mean, I never really thought about it because for the most part, a gimmick doesn't necessarily need a title. But it was a good moment. I remember it was in Indianapolis. My mom was there. My sister was there. You know, it was really good. And Regal, I would ride with him in the car and I'd be able to pick his brain and ask him things. I mean, he's awesome. Great mentor. I think he should be knighted. That's what I think.
You got injured, but at kind of the end of 2004, but then you've got a funny story about filming the Forrest Gump WrestleMania 21 commercial. You can tell us that.
Yeah, I tore my patella tendon in the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. I think it was right at the beginning of 2005. And so I was going to a surgery and therapy in Birmingham with Dr. Andrews. And then, Ryan. I got injured on the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view. And the very next day, we had to film the Eugene Forrest Gump video. And I couldn't walk. And I remember it put me in the bench that like Forrest Gump was on. And the actor next to me. And they had like a little person with a umbrella because it was so hot out, and I couldn't walk, I couldn't move. When you tear your patella tendon, it gives out, and just flaps right under you. And it was probably about 6 hours of I had like two or three lines, you know. And I ate so many chocolates that day because I kept eating them. Do it again. And I was like, I think I'm doing something. I asked the producer, am I doing something wrong? No. We just need multiple shots. And it was like camera down or camera over here. I don't know, but I'm doing it over and over. And then Regal shows up late for he does a one take. Run, Eugene, run! And I was supposed to airplane spin the nurse actress that was there, but since I couldn't move, I just ducked down and just ducked out of the shot. And I was like, really? I thought we were going to be there another 6 hours. There was one that we did that I don't think got aired. It was for the the SummerSlam previous. It was like an Olympic theme because we were in LA. We were in a football field in the middle of the night, like 2 a.m. And Eugene had the Olympic torch and he's doing whatever. And all of a sudden it caught Regal's coat arm on fire. And he's behind like this. And then when he said, and they sprayed him down with the thing, but they put all the gook on him that they have in Hollywood so he could be fired. But it was so hilarious. I don't know why that never aired. Maybe the actual fire was a little deterrent or something.
And then at WrestleMania 21, your first WrestleMania, you end up in a segment with Hulk Hogan against Muhammad Hassan and Daivari. How do you find out you're going to be in this segment with Hogan? And I mean, what a bucket list thing to be able to do.
Right? What you going to do, brother? I don't remember how I feel like I found out a little before because I had my surgery in January and this was March, April-ish. I wasn't cleared to wrestle. And if you watch, I could walk, but I was really limping. I had a huge brace on my knee. And I actually trained Muhammad Hassan. He's from Syracuse, New York. He's an Italian guy. He's a teacher now, or a principal, one of the two. So it was cool to be in there with him. And I'd known Daivari for a long time. But the fact that, my WrestleMania moment was going to be in the ring with Hulk Hogan was like definitely a dream come true. I wanted to have, I wanted to have the T-shirt. And I wanted to, have the WrestleMania moment. I wanted to have the action figure. The best part about having your own action figure is you get to play with yourself in public.
No comment. What was Hogan like to work with? Was there any kind of fun anecdotes from getting to work with him?
No, it was super easy. He just come down and save, and I get out the way. He was super cool. But when he came back, when I was a coach, 2014-ish, he did a photograph session at the Performance Center. And everybody's wanting to meet Hogan. All the coaches want to take a picture with him. And he goes, "Oh, Eugene's here." And I was like, "Oh my God, he remembered me," So,
and then you end up doing the program with Kurt Angle, and you've talked about how there was supposed to maybe be some more comedy in that than there was. Talk a little bit about some of those original plans.
So, Kurt was gonna have an angle with somebody to build him to wrestle Cena for the title, and Vince wanted Kurt to start getting a little more aggressive. That's when he put the mouthpiece in, start getting him. He was always aggressive, but this was like the next step up. And from what Kurt told me, Vince said who you want to work with, and he's looking up down the roster, and he's like, "Well, the easiest guy to get sympathy with is Eugene." So he wanted to work with me. Now, I wrestled Kurt Angle the night after Owen Hart died. I was an extra and had a dark match against Kurt Angle before he was ever on TV. In OVW, I was helping train Kurt's brother, Eric. So I knew Kurt well, and it was cool that he picked me, but he had some ideas that he wanted to do some comedy. And I remember one was Eugene wins the gold medal, and Kurt messes up his teeth so he can have excuse to end up wearing the mouthpiece. And we got the cameras at the airport. 2 guys with the vehicles holding up the sign. Olympic gold medalist Eugene. Kurt comes down. He's got the mouth wired together. Maybe trips on his back. Starts yelling. "Oh, that must be Eugene." Put him in the short bus and take him away. Eugene comes down with a gold medal. "You must be the gold medalist." Puts him in the limo and takes him away. But I think Vince wanted to be a little more serious because I think he said at the SummerSlam we were supposed to have a little more time, but then they cut it down because it was just kind of more of a beat the bejesus out of me. He pulled my hair, blacked my eye, dropped me on my head. I got so mad at him one time in the ring. I was on the ground. I kicked him in the ass as hard as I could, and then I realized what I did, and I rolled out real quick.
Kurt seems like the kind of guy. Everybody's got good things to say about Kurt. It must have been cool to get experience in the ring with him.
Yeah, and I learned a lot. He was telling me that if you've got a pay-per-view match and they put the package together before it, you're making money, and that's the good stuff. And just other little techniques in the ring. But he was such a good athlete. At the time, I was hindered by my knee. If I watched the matches back, I couldn't run across the ropes. But he carried me because I was also I didn't have my conditioning, and he knew all that, and he took care of me. It was really cool.
And you got to do a Taboo Tuesday match where there was legends, and the winner would be the tag team partner of Eugene, and Jimmy Snuka was the winner. What was it like to work? Because it's a different time, 2005 with Snuka. What was it like getting to be in there with him and kind of? It feels like in your career, a lot of it is getting to be in there with these guys and kind of let them have another go at it.
Yeah, it was. At one time, most diehard wrestling fans know Jimmy Snuka was the most popular wrestler in the world. Had the big physique, and even when he came out that night, the people exploded for him. He was, I think, 70 years old on the top rope, no shoes, no boots, and people were right there for him. The match was fun and easy, but afterwards, we were in San Diego again for that one. He goes, "Can you take me to the airport? I got a red eye." So to the airport, had the GPS on, and I don't know if he ribbed me or what, but he kept looking at the GPS and it would tell us, "What's that, brother? What's that? What's that, brother?" GPS, it tells us where to go. The airport? Yeah. Oh, good gimmick, brother. Good gimmick, brother. And just like, he was super cool and laid back and relaxed, and I mean, over.
And I mean, this may be an awkward question, but when later on stuff comes out about Jimmy Snuka and it kind of that towards the end of his life, that was what was there. Is that odd for you because you had this really nice moment with him? So if you want to talk about it, that's what you're talking about. And whereas other people are focusing on other things, that must be tough.
You're only as good as your last performance, and sometimes stuff like that, scratches your legacy. But I don't want to comment much on it because I just seen little bits on actual what happened back then. But that's the relationship I had with him. That's the memory I have with him. So that's what I like.
Then they decided to put you in a team with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and people kind of dug you guys as a team. Whose idea was that? How did it come about? Because it's just I wouldn't have seen it coming until it did.
I don't remember who put it together, but at that point, Hacksaw was starting to get up in age in his career, and it only makes sense that if they're going to have him on there, put him in a tag team so he can be protected. Jim was awesome. He's so funny, super nice guy. I mean, we're really cool guy. All kinds of stories from NFL and past his career, but he pulled me aside. Like I knew Jim couldn't take certain moves because he was getting older, whatever. So say the heels wanted to do something, and they say, "Oh, I'll do this to you, Jim, do this to you," and I could see him just kind of, I said, "Well, wait a minute, how about you do this to him, something I knew he could take?" Like we wrestled with Umaga, and Umaga wanted to do something, and I was like, "Well, instead of that, why don't you just give him a kick and let him bump, and then give me that move?" Small drop, I think it was. And so Hacksaw pulled me aside. He goes, "I know what you're doing. You're protecting me. And I really appreciate it." So when I was young, we would just let the old timer look bad and get fired. So really, really thank you. I wish we would have had maybe a tag title run or a WrestleMania, because if Hacksaw would have been on WrestleMania, that would have been the longest time between two appearances of WrestleMania, but it didn't happen.
And that same year in 2006, you made an appearance at ECW One Night Stand. I mean, how do you process it, knowing that going in, the reaction could be really good, the reaction could be really bad? What were you thinking going into it?
I think they called me like the day before and said, "Hey, we got something for you. We're sending you a flight. Come on in." Okay. And I mean, I don't know if I necessarily knew the hostility of the New York crowd at the Hammerstein Ballroom. That's where it was, right? Right, I'm pretty sure. And when I first came out, they didn't, get on me too much. But as I started to do the poem and everything, they started to get on me. But when Sandman came out and started caning me, and then the fans gave him another one, 2 canes all the way back. It was great. But when Cena went out, that's the most hostile I've ever felt the crowd. I was right behind the curtain, and if they were to riot, I was just going to hit the ring. I don't know what I could do, and I don't know if it would be smart, but I was right there, and I could feel the energy. And it's my opinion that when RVD won, the fans were let down. They were excited, but they wanted to riot. They wanted to fight that night, And when he won, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's our guy." That's the way I felt, I don't know if that's, that's only my perception.
Do you think Cena knew that the reaction was going to be as bad as it was? Do you think he was prepared?
So, I used to ride with him. We're pretty good friends, but I never really seen him nervous. But before that match, he was nervous. And I'm sitting in the locker room with him in the back, and he's like, "What are you nervous for?" And I guess when was it Terry Funk and Edge and Tommy Dreamer and somebody else had the hardcore match, and they're in the barbed wire and all cut up, and he goes, "They're doing everything out there. How do I follow that?" Just tackle, drop down, leapfrog, just tackle spot. And he went out there and he said when he threw the shirt and he threw it back, all the nerves went away. He knew he had them. Because then, they built everything around this match. The people are already invested, they want to see what you're going to do. So just go out there and do what you're going to do.
As you were coming towards the end of that first WWE run, obviously the whole Chris Benoit thing happens, which was so horrible, but you'd got to work with Benoit in OVW, you'd had a few experiences with him. How tough is that for you as a person that, you've had experiences with someone and then this big thing happens and it kind of, changed the industry?
Right, yeah. Somebody that you look up to as a mentor, as a hero, somebody you've traveled with, wrestled with, and all of a sudden, commit one of the most horrendous crimes in American history. It's like, you don't know what to think. It's really tough. And then, especially in those first couple 48 hours when there were all these rumors spinning around, you don't know what to think. And was it this? Was it that? And then they came out. I mean, I don't know. Again, I remember the guy that I remember, and I feel like what happened to him after was I feel like he had a brain injury because I think at one point when Chris Nowinski in the concussion facility they tested his brain, and from what I remember, if this is correct, allegedly, he had like the brain of a 80-year-old man because he had so much brain damage, and he wrestled hard, and I can understand when people don't want to include him in any records. I can get with that, but we can't forget him because nobody else should try to wrestle that hard and that stiff and have the same thing happen to them. Yeah. You know, in America, the NFL, American football guys, you know, some of those guys are having the concussion syndromes and bad things are happening at the end of their lives. So I think the knowledge is coming out, you know, about concussions. We just have to be preventative.
And when you were, the interesting part I found about Eugene is when it goes from the usual Eugene gear to the Superman Eugene. And that was around the time where maybe Eugene wasn't as popular with the crowd as before. And obviously you did turn heel on Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but was there a point that you kind of saw, I need to make a change, or the fans aren't digging it as much as they used to? Well,
when I would go out to live events, I would still get the same reaction, but I just wasn't figuring in on TV for a major angle, you know, and everybody just got to know that it's just going to come back around. The reason I changed my gear is because I had the first gear for so long. I started to realize that Jeff Hardy would change his gears about every 6 weeks, and then they'd make a new action figure for the new year. So then he would get paid and make another one. It's like, I need to change my damn outfit so I can get a new action figure. So that, and plus I was maybe had a little extra right there, so I want to cover it up with a singlet. But I thought the Superman type outfit was cute. Plus I had the cape that was actually Nightmare Danny Davis's cape. And I put it on. I'm just goofing off.
And, you know, when you weren't kind of involved in major angles, did you ever go to Vince or MD and say, you know, what can I do? Or, like, did you ever complain about it or anything?
No, but I mean, like, we would still be on the live events, and we would be on either a dark match or you know, Heat Saturday night or wherever they film. So even if you weren't figured in, you'd be doing something.
Mm-hmm. And then what led to you leaving in 2007, if people don't know?
Non-compliance. In Manchester, I took a one too many pills and passed out in my underwear in the lobby. So I got a 9-week vacation at the rehab facility. And when I came back, the WWE doctor was like, you know, my knee sore. I had the knee surgery. I started taking a lot of the pain pills and the somas to try to cope with the pain because patella tendon repair takes about, healing takes about 9 months when I was told. I got cleared at 6 months. And I was nowhere near ready. And I was trying to mask it with the medication, and it caught up to me. I had to go to rehab. And then when I came back, the WWE doctor was like, well, if you're still hurting, you should probably take the pain meds, but don't take the somas. And I feel like somas are probably a large contributor to a lot of the deaths in pro wrestling because it lowers your heart rate when you sleep, pass out, and quit breathing. So I quit taking those, and I started taking the prescription painkillers again. And I had a doctor write me, all right, so I had liposuction done. And a doctor wrote me Percocet, one type of painkiller. Other doctor normally wrote me hydrocodone. I found those Percocets that had been written maybe about 6 months before, and I took one of those, and then I drug test. So I tried to go to the doctor to get proof that he wrote it. He committed suicide. And since they already sent me to rehab and now I failed the test, I got released.
And I mean, that's a tough, you know, journey to go through. But you came out of it. You got better. I mean, how tough was that for you to sort of overcome it?
It's more of like a shame thing, you know, because I knew that I could still do whatever I want to do. You know, I mean, but it's more like a shame thing because they plaster it all over the internet and then it's, you know, everybody sees it. But I think the stigma of that is starting to become less and less, and realize that the people with drug addictions have a medical problem, a medical issue, and maybe jail and prison is the right thing. But luckily, no, I got the treatment and got myself straightened out.
And then in 2009, WWE bring you back, but it's the briefest of returns. Talk about that experience, because it seems odd to bring Eugene back and then not really use him.
We're not selling old, fat Eugene, is what I was told. I was out of shape. Now, I didn't think Eugene necessarily had to be a body guy, and granted, I was probably more out of shape than I should have been in, but I saw him like in May, and I got signed, and I went to Pittsburgh to do all the pre-hire tests and all that stuff, and I had a 2-week run before I went back to WWE, so I thought, you know, I'm just going to have fun. had in America it's called Taco John's, potato olays every night and beer, and I probably gained 10ish pounds plus, and it looked bad, and I was probably pale. So once they saw me the first week, they yelled at me and sent me home, and then the next one was in Calgary TV, and I got called late on a Friday to go to Calgary, and I knew something was up because to go to Calgary they have to put all the information in to go across the border and whatnot. So I knew probably wasn't good. And then when they said it's a contract on a pole match, I knew for sure that no, fuck, this isn't gonna be good at all. And an instance there, like I thought, if I get the contract on the pole live on Raw, it's gonna be a lot harder to release me right away. But of course I didn't, and then I got released.